Another powerful storm is coming, and it's about to unleash a round of dangerous weather. The atmosphere is reloading right now, and what's about to unfold across the central and eastern United States over the next 72 hours could be one of the most significant severe weather outbreaks we've seen so far this season. We just came off multiple days of damaging storms, tornadoes touching down in Michigan, hail smashing through the southern plains, wind reports stacking up across half a dozen states. And now, before the dust has even settled, another powerful storm system is already taking aim. This one looks bigger. This one looks meaner. And if the models are right, Tuesday could end up being a day that a lot of people remember for a long time. Let's start with what's happening tomorrow, because the atmosphere isn't even waiting for the main event to start causing problems. The Storm Prediction Center has already placed a slight risk of severe weather across the Deep South, with a marginal threat extending from parts of Alabama and Tennessee all the way back into northeast Texas. The primary concerns are damaging winds and very large hail. And when we say very large, we're talking about hailstones potentially reaching the size of baseballs. That's not a typo. Baseball-sized ice falling from the sky. One of those hits your windshield and your day just got a whole lot worse. There's also a low-end threat for an isolated tornado or two, particularly if any supercells manage to organize in the moisture-rich environment across the southeast. If you're anywhere near Little Rock, down toward Jackson, Mississippi, or really anywhere in that corridor, you need to have a way to receive warnings tomorrow. The tornado threat is conditional, meaning it depends on whether individual storm cells can get their act together and rotate before getting absorbed into the larger cluster. But if even one of them does, the ingredients are there for it to produce a tornado. Here's how tomorrow plays out from a timing perspective. We'll have some storms already ongoing during the morning hours across Arkansas, Texas, Oklahoma, and Louisiana. That early activity is actually going to be important because it will partially stabilize the atmosphere ahead of it. But here's the catch. As those storms push north, sunshine will flood back in behind them across the southeast. That sun is going to heat the surface rapidly, rebuilding instability, and any new supercells that can fire in that freshly destabilized air south of the retreating cluster could become serious hail producers. By mid-afternoon, somewhere around 3 to 4 o'clock, we could be looking at a few nasty supercells stretching from around Longview, Texas, over toward Monroe, Louisiana, throwing tennis ball to baseball-sized hail and carrying a low-end but real tornado risk. The wild card is whether that morning convection clears out fast enough. If it lingers and keeps the atmosphere too stable to the south, the afternoon storms might never really get going. That's what makes this a conditional setup. The potential is there for something significant, but it hinges on timing and how quickly the atmosphere can reload. By early evening, whatever storms have developed will push east into western Mississippi with continued threats of damaging winds and an isolated tornado before things gradually wind down overnight. Now let's talk about the main event. Tuesday is shaping up to be the kind of day that makes meteorologists nervous. The Storm Prediction Center has already elevated parts of the Midwest to an enhanced risk of severe weather, and we're still 2 days out. That's a strong signal. The enhanced risk area is focused just south of Chicago across northern Illinois and into northeastern Missouri. And the reason that area is highlighted comes down to one critical feature: a warm frontal boundary. If that sounds familiar, it should. A warm frontal boundary in almost exactly this same region is what fueled the tornado outbreak near Union City, Michigan just days ago. Warm frontal boundaries are notorious for enhancing tornado potential because they create a zone of concentrated wind shear right near the surface. Storms that develop along or just south of these boundaries can rapidly begin rotating, and when they do, the tornadoes they produce can be strong. This is not a garden variety setup. This is the kind of environment where significant tornadoes, meaning EF2 or stronger, become a real possibility. Beyond the enhanced risk zone, a slight risk of severe weather stretches all the way from southwest Michigan down to the Texas-Mexico border. A marginal threat extends even further, covering parts of Ohio, Little Rock, Arkansas, and the Memphis, Tennessee area. Every hazard is on the table for Tuesday: damaging winds, very large hail, and multiple tornadoes. The Storm Prediction Center has specifically mentioned the possibility of scattered to even widespread severe storms, which is language they don't use lightly. Here's what makes this setup different from what we just experienced. The warm sector is going to be enormous. A low-pressure system will emerge from the southwest, while Gulf moisture streams northward aggressively, pushing dew points into the mid-60s well into the Midwest. That warm frontal boundary will extend all the way up towards Chicago and southern Michigan, creating an unusually large area of warm, moist, unstable air for early March. Meanwhile, a cold front and dry line will set up from the southern plains near Oklahoma City, stretching down just west of Dallas-Fort Worth. The entire corridor between these boundaries is going to be primed for explosive thunderstorm development. From a tornado perspective, Tuesday has multiple areas of concern. The highest threat appears to be focused along that warm frontal boundary in the Midwest, where significant tornado parameter values are expected to be elevated. This means strong wind shear through multiple levels of the atmosphere combined with curved wind profiles, which is exactly what supercells need to produce rotating updrafts and tornadoes. Any supercells that fire in this environment could become dangerous very quickly. Further south into Oklahoma and Texas, the tornado threat is a bit more of a question mark. The atmosphere down there looks more favorable for storms to organize into a line rather than remaining as individual supercells. Lines of storms tend to produce more straight-line wind damage and less tornado activity, but that's not a guarantee. If any discrete cells manage to break free from the line and operate independently, they could absolutely produce tornadoes. Think of it like what happened on Friday, when a few rogue cells fired out ahead of the main line and caught people off guard. The timing on Tuesday is critical, so let me walk you through it. During the early afternoon, storm coverage will begin increasing across Texas and Oklahoma, with scattered thunderstorms also developing further north. The key area to watch will be that warm frontal boundary across the Midwest: northern Missouri, southern Iowa, northern Illinois. If storms fire there during the afternoon, and right now it looks like they will, those cells could quickly develop rotation and produce tornadoes. Strong tornadoes. This is not hyperbole. The environment supports it. By early evening, around 7 o'clock, the severe weather threat ramps up significantly. This is when atmospheric lift increases and temperatures begin falling just enough to sharpen the instability gradients. Expect several supercells to be ongoing near the warm frontal boundary west of Chicago. The tornado threat will be elevated in that area. Further south, a cluster of storms will be pushing through Arkansas, mostly producing hail and wind with a lower tornado risk. Additional storms will be firing across West Texas, Oklahoma, and Kansas. As evening turns to night, the supercells near Chicago will likely begin clustering together and pushing into Michigan. A full-blown squall line will start to take shape across central Texas, eventually sweeping toward Dallas, Fort Worth, and across central Kansas. During the overnight hours, the line will march east with a continued damaging wind threat and an isolated tornado risk embedded within it. Overnight tornadoes are especially dangerous because people are sleeping and less likely to receive warnings in time. So if you're in the path of this system, make sure your phone alerts are on and your volume is up before you go to bed Tuesday night. By daybreak on Wednesday, storms will be stretched from Michigan all the way down into Texas, and the atmosphere will be gearing up for round 2. Wednesday brings another day of severe weather as the system pushes further east. The Ohio Valley and the Deep South become the primary target areas. Warm, moist Gulf air will continue feeding into the system, supporting another large area of thunderstorm development from Illinois down through Texas. My expectation for Wednesday is that the storm mode will be predominantly linear, meaning a large squall line sweeping through rather than individual supercells. This means damaging winds will likely be the primary hazard, potentially widespread and strong enough to send trampolines flying through neighborhoods, snap trees, and knock out power across broad areas. Embedded tornadoes within the line are also a real possibility, and honestly, the tornado risk on Wednesday might actually be higher than what we saw with the similar linear setup yesterday, because the wind shear and moisture profiles look more favorable. I'm less confident that we'll see the kind of discrete supercell tornado threat on Wednesday that we're expecting on Tuesday, but the wind damage potential alone makes Wednesday a day that demands respect and attention. If you're anywhere from the Ohio Valley through the Mid-South, be ready. And here's where the story takes an unexpected turn. This same storm system that's going to unleash severe weather on Tuesday and Wednesday is also going to drag a cold front through the Midwest and Northeast. Behind that front, colder air will filter south, and by late Wednesday night into Thursday, areas around Chicago and Michigan that were just dealing with tornadoes could be seeing light snowfall. Snow, less than 48 hours after tornado warnings. That's the kind of atmospheric whiplash that defines early March. That snow could extend into the Northeast as well, and then as we push into the following weekend, Friday through Sunday, several additional shots of snow look possible across the Midwest, the Upper Great Lakes, and back through the Northeast. Winter is not done yet. Even as severe weather season kicks into high gear, the cold air still has enough fight left in it to make a few more appearances. The temperature trends over the next week really tell the whole story. We're going to see above-average warmth, potentially record-breaking heat, surge across the Midwest and Northeast early in the week. That's the fuel for Tuesday's severe weather. Then, a strong cold front sweeps through by Wednesday and Thursday, crashing temperatures back down. And by next weekend, an Arctic blast, quite possibly the last significant one of this winter, could send temperatures plunging across the Midwest and Northeast. It's going to be a temperature roller coaster that makes your head spin.